Hi, everybody. It's Mary. Welcome back to the Best School Year Ever Masterclass. This is our final session all about how to get your personal mindset in place so that you can help the people around you thrive, so that you can thrive in this school year. So if you've been on the other sessions, we have talked about how to get your team ready and sort of some of the mindsets that get in the way, the roadblocks that get in the way, and one really great strategy to help that go well. We've talked a little bit about how to the 3 myths that prevent us from having an environment that's really supportive for the best school year ever, and how to bust through those and get rid of one huge sabotage that we frequently use without even realizing it. And so today we're going to talk about the mindset that is important for the best school year ever. All right, so this is probably our shortest session. So get your pencil and paper out. Here we go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is priority. You know, a long time ago, the word priority didn't even have a plural on it. I know if you are in our Supermom school, then you have heard us talk about this before, that priority used to be singular and it wasn't plural at all. So it's really revealing to us that we actually can't have multiple priorities, not number one. You can really only have one priority at a time, because at some point, if you have 2 priorities, they're going to come in conflict with each other. And then you've got to figure out which one's on top, right? So I have talked about this with people who want to have, well, I want to have the priority of keeping my house clean, but I also want to have the priority of training my kids to do house cleaning, right? And sometimes if you don't decide which one is more important, especially in the moment, they will be in conflict with each other and everybody gets frustrated because the kids think that their job is to be trained and the parent thinks that the job is to have the house look nice. And a lot of times if you're training, you can't have the house look as nice as you would like it to look without getting a little bit frustrated, because kids just aren't there yet. They haven't learned how to do that adult quality job yet, right? So it's a good example of where we have to choose our priorities. So I call this priority propaganda. Priority propaganda, this idea that you need to get your priorities straight and that you can have multiple priorities. I really encourage you to, in as many areas as you possibly can, just have one priority. Like, what would it look like if you only could get one major thing done today? What would that look like? A lot of times with my super moms, and if you follow me for any length of time, you know, a lot of times I ask, what are your 2 things and what's for dinner? And this is a way of having a different priority at 3 different times of the day. So what's my one priority for the morning time? What's my one priority for the afternoon time? And then what's the one thing I'm making for dinner? It really is only one thing in each of those categories, right? But if we can get focused on, I call it 2 things and what's for dinner, because it enables us to remember those things, but it's really only one priority at a time. Okay. You will be so much more successful if you come up with one thing in that way. Just a second.
120 ounces.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. I'm on a call, so I'll see you later. Thank you for your help. Okay. My son just brought me some water. Wasn't that nice? So, number 2. So that's priority propaganda. Stick to one priority as much as possible. Every time you start thinking, oh, I have to, like, I really want to do this and do this, take the time to stop and say, okay, which is more important? Under what conditions is it more important? All right. The second thing is, I want to talk a little bit about why you might hate your checklist. So a lot of people don't like to-do lists. or they like to-do lists, but they find them unsuccessful. And here's the reason that I've discovered that most people don't like checklists. Most people don't like checklists because it's not actually a checklist. What they're actually making is a brain dump. And then it feels very unsuccessful not to just have everything happen that they put down on their brain dump. It's not actually a checklist. And it took me years of coaching people to realize that there's two different things going on when people say they're making a to-do list or a checklist. Some people are they're just dumping, like brain dump, everything they can think of that needs to happen. Other people are actually making a checklist, like these are the things I'm going to do today, or these are the things I'm going to do this week. And they're they don't have to be two different things, but if you hate your checklist, it's probably because you make brain dump lists and then they feel very unsuccessful. So here's what I kind of typically do. And this is kind of a practical thing, but this is how it helps my brain, right? I get really clear on what actually needs to be done, and then I just like ignore the rest. And that helps my mind. I don't get this decision fatigue quite as quickly. I don't have as much trouble trying to I don't look at my list and say, wow, I just feel so unsuccessful at all the things that I didn't get done. So if you do a brain dump list, which are valuable because there's this psychological thing that happens that when you put it out on paper, your brain doesn't have to remember it anymore. And so it can provide some relief. That can be a very valuable process. Some people do that in a list form. Some people do that in a journaling process of, let me just journal through all the things that I need to do. But it does help to get it all out of your head, right? But then here's the strategy that I use to keep my mindset successful. Number one, anything that goes on my checklist, I have a calendar, a paper calendar here, right? I have a paper calendar, and I use a checklist a couple of different ways. First of all, anything that I can schedule, I go ahead and schedule it on my calendar instead of putting it on a checklist. So I might star the things on my brain dump that I know I want to work on. Then can any of those things actually be calendared? So for instance, later this week on one of my days, I need to take things to the post office. It's not on my checklist. It's on the calendar. Like I'm going to the post office on Friday. Or for instance, what's another one that's over here? Oh, so I have on today, record these master classes, because I don't just want it on a checklist, because I don't want to come back later and be like, okay, which thing am I supposed to do first? Nope, I just put it on the calendar. And if there's lots of little things, sometimes I'll just draw a little box around, like, okay, it's going to be office time. And so I'm going to record those classes and send an email and write a thank you note or whatever. And I'll just put little bullet points in there. And then that also helps me see, like, oh, I have a 2-hour window to do these things. That's all I have time for. So I'm not going to put anything else in that area. I'm going to bump it down to another area, right? And look for where am I going to be in my office next. That might also happen with school. Like, if I am trying to help kids with school, I might have a brain dump of all the things that need to happen for school. But then say on Wednesday, I know I have a 4-hour window to work on school stuff with my kids. And so I might write, okay, I have 20 minutes per kid to check math. And then I'm going to spend 1 hour looking at papers that need to be edited or reprinted or things like that. I might put right after lunch that I want to check in with everybody and make sure that they are ready for the next day. So there's some specific things that I would jot down And that helps me evaluate when I'm actually going to have those. And as a result, those checklists I love making because I get the things done, because they get checked off, because I can cross everything off and be like, I did everything I put on my list. And then I can either go pick something else that I would like, oh, I'm going to get ahead, or I can be like, guess what? I could sit down and watch a movie or read a book or just chill. I could take a walk outside. And I have no guilt about stepping away to do something else, to just relax, because I got the things done that I assigned myself to do. So, why you hate your checklists? It might be because you're just making brain dumps that aren't actually intended, or you don't actually expect to check everything off of that list. So just know that there's a difference. Okay. All right. So we've tackled priorities, we've tackled checklists. And then the last one is the number one supermom strategy. And I know if you're in my group already, you know this, but there is huge, huge value in making this stupid easy. If whatever you're trying to accomplish, whatever goal you're trying to set in, your expectations of your children. In classical conversations, we always talk about like, how much should I expect from my child? And we always say easy plus one. Whatever is easy plus one thing is what we expect them to do in any subject at any moment for their school. So that might look like different things for different people. For Justin in his math, that looks like, I want you to do 3 pages of math. For somebody else, that looks like, I want you to do 1 page of math, because just doing one would be challenging enough. Some people, it would be, I want you to do this school subject, and I want you to schedule it out for yourself. Other kids, easy plus one might look like, I want you to write this paper, and then I want you to check your own capitalization and punctuation before I edit it, right? So there's all of these things that it's variable, but we talk about this in school, like, how do we make this doable for them? Well, it's the same thing for you, okay? So if you're setting up a schedule for how to take good care of your kids, how to get them to extracurricular activities, whether or not to add extracurricular activities, I really encourage you to, like, what feels super easy plus one thing. In fact, a lot of times I tell my super moms or my other clients, you have hit the right target in this type of planning if you're asking the question in your mind, could I do one more thing? If you're asking, like, could I do one more thing, then probably you are right on target for what you need to have on your schedule already. And you don't genuinely need to add something else. Usually, what happens is we overcommit, we over prepare, we have high expectations or over ambitious about what we're going to accomplish, and we don't get it like by a long shot. In fact, sometimes we don't do any of those things well, and then we feel really frustrated that we have all these extra things that have to happen that haven't happened yet. And it leads to just feeling defeated, and it steals your momentum and steals your energy. So if you're having trouble with your schedule, with your agenda, then make it stupid easy. What does it look like to be successful if it gets to be easy? I will never forget when I first started exercising. I did this with exercise. I made it stupid easy to be successful every day. I wanted to be able to check it off the list. So my goal was, I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to do 5 stretches next to my bed. And you know what? I could do 5 stretches next to my bed, even on a day where I was sick. Like, as long as I wasn't passing out on the floor, I could do those 5 stretches. And I was able to get into a habit of getting up and doing something. Later, when I started walking, I gave myself permission, like, you know what? I'm going to make it stupid easy to walk. I'm going to drive to a flat surface and do my walk. Permission to get in the car, drive a mile down the road to the flat spot, walk a mile flat, get back in the car, drive a mile back home. A lot of other people walked the hill, but I wasn't there, and I would let it talk me out of it all the time. Later, I was like, okay, I'll walk if I, like one of the other things I did was I walked while watching a movie because I decided, you know what? I'll walk, but I don't want to think about the fact that I'm walking. Feels easy to walk if I'm distracted from something by something else. So I did that. I've done workouts, like entire video workouts while talking on the phone before because I don't want to think about the video. I don't want to think about how much my brain is trying to talk me out of working out. I don't love it enough to do it every day yet. So permission to make it easy, right? So there's all these ways that you can make it easy for yourself. When I started getting up and having devotions, I gave myself permission I wanted to get up early. And I still do this sometimes, but I get a permission to get up early, do devotions, and then go back to take a nap as soon as after that as I want to. And so sometimes that looks like getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, having devotions, and going right back to bed at 5:45 and getting up at 8 o'clock. But I am developing the habit of waking up at 5 or 5:30 to do my devotions, which is what I wanted to do. And I stay awake a lot of the days. Most of the days, in fact, I stay awake. So it's a way to make it stupid easy, permission to make it stupid easy. And you will find that you'll make so much more progress if you give yourself permission to sort of take it one really stupid easy step at a time. Okay. So those are your 3 mindset strategies for your best school year ever. Watch out for priority propaganda. Separate your checklists from your brain dumps. And the number 1 supermom strategy, which is make it stupid easy. Okay. I hope you've been served through this masterclass. I love you. Let me know if there's anything else I can do to serve you and encourage you. Please reach out if you have any questions. This is Mary Aldrich. I'll talk to you later.